Well, and let's bring it over to the Leafs. Speaking of Brunts, so we're into preseason. I'm not a huge preseason fan. I don't watch it very closely. Not until it gets near the end when we start seeing like the team that's going to play.
Yeah, shortened preseason this year.
Shortened preseason.
6 games.
But it's still preseason. Anyway, anything that's popped out to you?
Yeah, man, for sure.
Obviously, Michael Bunting.
Well, we'll get to the game. Like, I'm not going to do a hard recap on the games. But a couple special things happened, so we'll touch on that. But like, look, man, before they even hit the ice, when they were first doing the media day, the first day, right? And here we go again. Like, you got Rielly coming out, you got Dubas coming out. Dubas is doubling down on the boys again. We'll get into that a little bit later. Did you catch Dubas on Overdrive this week?
I did, yeah.
Okay, so we can go over a few things. They talked about a bunch of stuff there, mainly Mitch Marner again, but Dubas doubling down. But anyway, Morgan Rielly and Kyle Dubas, the biggest thing I took away from this is that, well, here we go with the contract. Here we go again. It's Zach Hyman fucking like 2.0 again. Like, here we go again. Another guy that they're going to walk right out the fucking door to free agency and fucking sayonara. Like, it's already know how this plays out. I think we both know how this fucking plays out.
Yeah, you can tell Riley's camp is basically responding to all questions with, it's a business. Like, we love it here in Toronto, but that doesn't mean we're going to knock $4 million a year off Riley's worth to help out the Leafs. So
exactly. So we'll see where the Leafs are at with money and what have you, like in regards to Morgan Rielly. But personally, me, man, like, I haven't seen it. I like Morgan Rielly. I think he's had some really good years, but he's had some years as well. And defensively, I've never loved his game defensively. He's a skate. He's a,
he's an offense first. He's an offense first defenseman.
He's not good skater, good passer. He sees the play well, but he's not that great in his own end. That's
I think last year having TJ Brody on the team really sort of emphasized that. It really put a spotlight on Riley's weakness when you see a guy who's so good in his own end.
TJ Brody, dude, probably my favorite Leafs defenseman.
Yeah, and they have him locked up, which
just
is nice.
all that guy does is just like go to work, go to work, go to work. Like, nothing fancy, nothing insane, just does his fucking job night in, night out. TJ Brody, he like in one season has grown on me as like probably my favorite defenseman on the team. But back to Morgan Rielly for a minute here. Like, what are we talking here realistically? What's a number that you would become? He's 5 million right now, or 5.5, whatever. What's a number you would be comfortable at with him staying a Toronto Maple Leaf? And when does it get too rich where we're like, no, we're not doing that?
Well, it all depends. I mean, you don't want to overpay, and they can't overpay for Morgan Rielly. So I think them extending themselves to the absolute brink, which will mean they'll need to go even cheaper on the fringes of the team. That's about as far as they can go. And I'd be comfortable with that.
I don't know if I would be.
It would have to be, you'd have to be getting something back. You'd have to be getting like long-term or something.
Give me a number. Give me a number.
I don't know. Maybe 7.5.
Okay, here's what I was going to say. If they took Kerfoot's 3.5 and gave it directly to Morgan Rielly, 8.5, that's probably what Riley's camp is going to be looking for. Is that something you'd be interested in? That's a lot of fucking money for a guy that doesn't play that well in his own end.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what kind of year he has. We'll see. He may come out and just have one of the worst years of his career. He may, because he's in a contract year, have one of the best. And then $8.5 million isn't enough.
Well, then goodbye. But here we go. The way I see this playing out, we'll see. Does he take a hometown discount to stay? I don't personally think so.
No, I don't think he will.
I think he's going to get paid regardless, whether it's Seattle, Vancouver. Well, probably not Vancouver. They've got issues, but maybe, who knows? I don't know. He's a Western Canadian boy, right? So maybe he goes somewhere. Maybe he goes to one of the California teams. Who fucking knows? But
he'll go where whoever pays him the most.
Yeah, whoever's going to pay him the most. But you know,
but I know what you're getting at though, is it's going to be another guy.
do you want to, what I'm getting at is I don't want to spend, another guy gone for nothing. I have 2 points here before we get off Rielly. I don't particularly want to spend $8.5 million on Morgan Rielly. I don't think like they could take that money.
What do you do? What do you do about the playoffs? If you get to the trade deadline, you know that he's going to want more. Let's say he's having a career year and you're like, it's going to take 9+ to sign him. And you're having a really good season. You have a shot to win a couple rounds in the playoffs. Do you trade this guy at the trade deadline to get something for him? Or do you keep him to go on a playoff run and then let him walk like they keep doing?
That's a tough call. Personally, like, I mean, anything can happen. I don't think the Leafs are going to win the cup. Maybe they do. Who knows what's going to happen when the playoffs get here, and like we'll see what happens.
I didn't think the Habs would go to the Stanley Cup final.
Neither did I. But so we'll see what happens. But ultimately, if they're not going to win, like, yeah, it'd be nice to win a round or two, but I don't really give a shit. So I'd rather trade Rielly and get something decent back for him, which I think they could. He can go on, but who's going to be interested in Morgan Rielly for a rental, basically? Like, unless it's a sign and trade, like you're going to pay a fucking a huge ransom to get a guy who's walking to free agency anyway.
No, I don't think. I think it's just get something for him, right?
Correct.
I mean, hindsight being 2020, imagine what you could have on the team right now had you traded Zach Hyman at the trade deadline last year.
Dude, we talked about this. The list goes on and on. Bozak, JVR, Freddie,
all of them.
Hyman.
It's just one of those things. You got to hang on to them for your playoff run. But then when you get knocked out in the first round, you're like, oh, shit.
Right. So over-evaluating the team, I guess. But ultimately, it's hypothetical, but it's not really, because I already know what's going to happen here, and so do you. They're going to play it out like you just said. They're not going to be able to afford to give him what he wants, and he's going to fucking walk for nothing. That's what's going to happen here. I would fucking put the bank on it. I would bet the bank on it.
Well, seriously. We'll find out. We will find out what happens.
He's done it. Like, how many years in a row have they done this with at least one or two players?
Yeah, but they've got to play the games, because if they're not even in a playoff spot, or if they're just, scratching around the edge of the wild card or something like that, they may just trade him.
Okay, so before we move off this,
last year was different because they were first place. Everyone thought they were going to get to the Final Four.
Yeah.
You weren't touching this roster. You were not trading anything.
They were loaded and ready to go. 100%, man.
This year may be a little different, being back in the Atlantic Division.
So just quickly then, Dubas. So it was basically Rielly's like, yeah, I love being a Leaf, blah, blah, blah. But the business side of it, I'll let my agent take care of that. We're not going to talk about it through the season. Like, I don't want to talk about it. And Dubas comes out and he's basically like, Morgan's a great Leaf, blah, blah, blah. But, the flat cap, and if the cap doesn't go up and blah, blah, blah. So Dubas is basically already saying, well, we don't have the money to pay him, so we're going to ride it out here. Like, you can read between the lines and hear what he's saying, right?